Hey everybody, how's everybody doing this morning? Well, I'm sorry I'm late again, but I was working on my Jeep this morning because I want to get it ready for camping and do some trips so I can do some astrophotography and things. Uh, hey Walter, how are you? I was working on the Jeep. Walter Rowe is here. He's a Capture One like affiliate and moderator on their forums and Facebook group. And he has his own channel if you guys don't know on Capture One tutorials and stuff, and he's cranked out a couple this week, which kind of surprised me a little, but that's awesome, Walter. So check out Walter Rowe Photography on YouTube, and if you have Capture One, he has some great tutorials there, especially if you're coming over from other software. Um, but the latest update on Capture One supposedly supports the EM1 Mark III, and also added a lot of new tools as well that I think he's going to start doing tutorials on. And I just downloaded, and thanks Walter for that. I just downloaded the Capture One. They give you a free Capture One Express if you have Fujifilm or Sony. They may have them for other brands, but definitely not Olympus. But they have a Capture One Express for Fujifilm and Sony. So if you have either of those cameras, you can get their Express version, then later upgrade if you want to the full version. But the Express version does a really good job. It just doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles like layering and some other things. But Walter has been a good friend of mine for many, many years. I mean, almost since college, I think. And he's a professional photographer here locally in the area. Does mainly portraits, and he's the one who sold me his Jeep. He used his Jeep to go out and do his photography stuff, and he bought a new Jeep, and I bought his old one. But I was I was working on the muffler. I don't know if you guys can see. I jacked up my hands a little bit. I was trying to fix the muffler. Oh, it had rusted out along with some other things. So ugh. I was under the Jeep this morning actually putting clamps, in different places, and then spray painting some of the rust spots. I was sanding the rust and spraying it with some rust resistant paint, high temperature, etc. And I think I think it'll be ready. I'm gonna go out and buy some spark plugs and some oil. It's almost due for an oil change, so I'm gonna try and do that after the show today, and then take it out for a test drive. I've been driving it lately, um, and it runs great. I mean, top notch. But all right, let's see what do we got here. Um, yeah, Lauren, I'm wearing my Paisley vest today. I need to get some new vests, right? I only have the three and a couple of suits, but it's starting to get warm. So I may have to just switch to very lightweight vest. I have another vest coming in that was it's a fishing vest, but it's a mesh so that with lots of pockets. So maybe I might be able to go out with carrying an extra bag, and because a lot of times I'm out with my dog when I'm out doing photo walks, and it's cumbersome to have your leash, your camera, and a camera bag, and a tripod a lot of times. So I was thinking maybe I can pare down to just a vest with some decent pockets. Uh, let's see. Some questions here. Regarding the SD card read-write speeds, wondering if the M1 Mark II or 3 can take advantage of the 300 megabits. So yes, it does. Uh, honestly, I did do a test on the M1 Mark II that does take advantage of the same high-speed cards, the 300 megabits, on the M10 Mark II, and that's one thing a lot of people overlook is the UHS-2 compatibility entry-level camera like the M1 Mark II, and I think the Mark III has it as well. But you do get a lot better buffering. I can't remember the exact numbers, but if you look at that video I did on SD cards, you'll get a good feel for how much better it is in terms of workflow and in the field with the camera using a UHS-2 card is. I'm trying to remember. I just can't remember exactly what the numbers were, but yeah, it's a lot better. Now, in practice though, I feel like the 300 megabits cards are better for workflow after you're done, like you're loading the images onto your computer. If you got thousands of images or video, it makes a big difference because you can download onto your computer very quickly and get to work right away versus, waiting an extra 5-10 minutes to offload stuff. In the field, if you use a lot of Pro Capture and do a lot of bracketing, it'll make a big difference in your workflow. If you're just doing occasionally continuous low shutter speed or just single shot most of the time, I wouldn't waste money on a high-end card like that. But if you're doing a lot of Pro Capture or high-speed capture and bracketing, it does make a big difference. But on that video I did on SD cards, towards the end I have all the final results. So if you want to just kind of skip the whole beginning, because it's a little bit long video, I think. I can't remember. And it says, Larry says, anyway, to modify the file names when importing pictures from camera into Olympus. No, not that I know of. They just come in straight. And I thought I saw another question here about something. Oh yeah, focus stacking from Marcia. No, Piccolet does not support the ORF files, just the JPEGs. But it's fine because you're stacking so many JPEGs, you're going to get excellent image quality. So the best thing to do is to edit the individual files before you convert them to JPEGs. If you have a software that does that, even Olympus Workspace, it's a little cumbersome. If you have to work with the raw files, then export them as JPEG, then use those in Piccolet if you need to do any kind of adjustments at all. But that's the way to do it. Okay, Harry, Siegfried. Hey, Siegfried, how are you? Good to see you here. I need to do some Pen F videos because there's a lot of people still shooting with that. And if they come out with another one, let's cross our fingers. I'll be a little bit ahead of the game. But I'll send you a private message on the MU43 forum or on your blog about using some of the content that you have, or referring to it anyway on your website. But if anybody has a Pen F and really wants some excellent articles on using the color profiles and exposure and just about anything Olympus really, he's actually one of my go-to places where I learn a lot of things on his blog. So check out Siegfried's blog. I've put a link to it before. I haven't been to it in about a month, so I can't remember the name of it offhand. But Siegfried has an excellent blog on the Pen F and Olympus in general. And he's a very, very regular participant in the MU43 forum. So if you go to MU43, and you'll see a lot of posts that he's made there, and those will have links to his blog as well. Andrea, how are you? Andreas Becker from Germany and Andre DePolo. Saibanti. Wow, what a name. I love people that have long names. It's just as, it's, I think it's great when you have a long name. I've always wanted like a name that had, like 10 syllables in it, Let's see. Like you go up and say, hey, what's your name? And you say, oh, I'm John Smith, right? Or you can say, hi, I'm Robert, Julian, Maurice, Mark, Alexander, Rogers. Nice to meet you. Or I'm Andreas Depola Sabante. It's like it just, I don't know. Maybe it's a little pretentious, but I like it. I use a camera vest when I go shooting, and I've had it for years. Oh yeah, awesome, David. Yeah, I'm a little behind the game. I should use a vest more. It's just I got so many bags. I just Rob's workspace video shows you how to change the folder names when importing. Oh, okay, maybe. I don't think the file names themselves can be changed though. But yeah, you can assign folders. Hi, does it matter in terms of quality of photos if pro lens shot at the same focal length and aperture? Heart. Hi, does it matter in terms of quality of photos if pro lens shot at same focal length and aperture? As I guess versus oh, I see. Second part there is pro and not pro. Yes, pro lenses generally give you excellent image quality. And I think for general photography, you really have to pixel peep to see the difference. But if you're a professional delivering paid work on a regular basis, you definitely will see the difference and appreciate the difference, and your clients will appreciate the difference. I think for most people, the standard and premium lenses from Olympus, not necessarily the pro lenses, are excellent. Particularly the 45, the 25, and the 17 millimeter primes. The 40 to 150 kit lens zoom is excellent for $99. But short answer is yes, it is different to have a pro lens, along with the other benefits of, usually you have a manual focus ring, and you have additional function button sometimes, and then also the weather sealing and better low light capabilities. So there's a lot of advantages to pro lenses other than just the sharpness and image quality alone. Rob, I wrote very basic summary on ETTR and some great talk. Okay, good. I'll check that out. I'm not a big ETTR and exposure guy. I because all the effort is in trying to a lot of the work at ETTR and exposure when you're playing with all those settings is about post processing, really, because you expose with the thought that you're going to post process this and you're going to get the best results in post processing. For me, I like to get the exposure I want in camera, like either crushing the shadows to keep the highlights, or blowing the highlights to keep the shadow area, bring up the shadows. And then I focus on the composition to take advantage of the exposure I can do in camera. And going into post-processing and trying to push and pull shadows and highlights beyond my original intent is not a common thing for me. I get it. If you need to shoot in a single shot a particular scene, and you want to try to get the best out of that, you have to pick your battles, right? But it's really when you have high dynamic range scenes, and that's the idea of ETTR, is to preserve your highlights but keep as little noise as possible in the shadows by collecting as much data or information. Ultimately, getting old sucks. I forgot what I was talking about. I was talking about ETTR or something, right? Well, anyway, let me move on. I lost my whole train of thought there. UHS2 is, whoops. Raj, hi. Okay, I got you. All right, slow it down. I can't read everybody's questions when you post multiple like that. Rob, I wrote, okay. Lauren says, Rob, in the 3rd grade, I got 3 points for spelling your name correctly. The sad part was that I did not have time for the rest. God. Guy with a camera trek. Yes. UHS Peter says UHS-2 is way faster and backward compatible, so even if your camera doesn't support it, it will work. And you get quicker downloads for post. Yes, absolutely. But you need to get a UHS-2 card reader because most laptops and computers don't have that built in. So if you want the faster download and post processing, you also need to get a UHS-2 reader. Otherwise, you'll actually get slower read speeds from a UHS-2 card. At least that's what's happened to me if you don't have a UHS-2 card reader. I use Photo Mechanic for import with full control of the file names and folders. Yeah, Lars is a hardcore enthusiast, man. He's done it all. And he always has great feedback on my videos and things. So if you see a comment or post from Lars, you know, definitely take a few minutes to read it. Sometimes they're long, sometimes they're not, but it's always been excellent feedback or an alternative point of view because he shoots multiple brands as well. I think he just got a Fujifilm X100V. How's that working out anyway? Zumzifiro says, "Hello Rob, is there a way to save custom movie setting in the No, there is not. You have to just go in the movie mode and set your settings each time. There's no way to save individual movie modes on any of the Olympus cameras, actually. Oh, your name's different, Basavara? Basavara J Nadavu E Nami. Namini. Yeah, okay. Hopefully that satisfies you because you're really making it hard for me to read these questions. I believe there have been at least 4 videos on ETTR in the last 10 days. Peter, Robin, Maddie, Martin. Oh, I don't know Martin. Yeah, I see them pop up. I've watched I think I watched Peter and Robin's. I haven't seen Maddie's yet. And I definitely have not seen Martin's, but I mean, I get the general idea of ETTR, and again, it's not a technique I really care about. I care more about the exposure I want in camera. I'm not trying to post-process because ETTR, like I said, is about, you know, the idea of post-processing it later to get what you want. Giuseppe says, "Hello, Rob. How can I set the menu of my EM5 II to use vintage lenses?" Well, you need to be in manual focus and aperture priority, and then you need to set the IBIS to the focal length of the lens you're using. And generally, you only want to use prime lenses when you're using vintage lenses. If you're going to use a zoom, you're going to really, it's best to turn the IBIS off because the IBIS does not adjust with the zoom range. So you're going to have to go back to old school techniques of, you know, double your shutter speed or, you know, whatever it is you need to get a sharp image with a zoom lens without IBIS. But yeah, those are the 3 main things: is the generally shoot aperture priority, and because you're adjusting the aperture yourself manually on the lens usually, and then shoot manual focus, and it's going to default to that, but it's set the camera to manual focus, and then you can get, and then you need to assign a button for focus peaking and magnification so to help you focus. I don't think it comes up automatically just because you're in manual focus, so you need to assign a button, a function button, to peaking and magnification to help you manually focus. And then again, set the IBIS to the focal length of the prime lens, and you should be good to go. And I have a whole video on that, but that sums it up. If you want to check out the video on my channel for that, it's called like how to adapt lenses. Let's see. I will try. Well, I said his name. It looks like he stopped. I appreciate that. Oh, hey Rick, how are you? Andre DePola Savanti says, for high-speed photos, shall I have save all images as JPEG only? It's not necessary. You can do RAW only. Uh, I think if you're going to shoot JPEG, depending on what you're shooting for high speed, you want to be really careful with your noise compression settings and watch your ISO. Because I've noticed, I shot a bunch of images the other day, JPEG only, and I had to keep changing the settings because I'd look at the result and I'm like, oh, I had the noise filter on, I turned it off, and then I had the sharpening too low, so I cranked it up. It's best if you can shoot RAW only and process the keepers in post-processing when you're doing high-speed type shots. Yeah, but you can shoot JPEG only and you'll get a little better performance and you're most likely to get the shot better. But I would say it might be worth investing in a UHS-2 card and shooting in RAW only if you want to do high-speed shooting, because the JPEGs just get kind of messed up when your ISOs start getting high. If you're shooting at very low ISOs, then yeah, JPEG only is fine and you can usually get a really good shot. And of course, it depends on the image stabilization. I'm sorry, it happened again. My brain just switched off. I'm sorry. Hopefully I answered the question, Andre. Oh my God, what's wrong with me today? I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. But the idea of shooting JPEG only in high speed mode does give you better performance in the camera. So that might be one solution. Siegfried says, Rob, the challenge is Ollie cameras measure exposure very conservative, throwing away detail and upper noise. Love to see Olympus give us more control. Yes, the Pen F2, what a great idea. Yeah, I know. Thank you, Siegfried. Yeah, Siegfried, I typically have to dial in exposure compensation all the time when I'm shooting at higher ISOs, and even then, it's a little bit, it's hard to gauge. I have to do a couple of test shots, particularly in low light, to see how much exposure comp I need to offset what Olympus thinks the exposure should be. So yeah, it's a little tricky. I guess that's true for any camera, but the Olympus is really the only camera I actually wanted to start shooting in low light. In fact, this picture behind me, it was so dark I could just barely see, uh, the pier and the boats there. I didn't even realize this boat over here had such a high mast. And I had to turn on my on-to live view boost as well to better compose. And I missed a lot of shots that night because it was so freaking dark. But this shot behind me, yeah, this was a half-second exposure at ISO 6400. And I dialed in some exposure comp, I think minus 2/3 of a stop to get it. And it came out okay. It was a high-res handheld shot. Oh, that's good. Lars loves his X100V. Lewis's hypothetical question: if Olympus was to go away, I hope not. Which brand would you switch to? I'll let you know in about 4 or 5 years. It I mean, my cameras are good for the next 4 or 5 years at least, and I don't know. I'll have to see what's out in a few years. Now, to answer your question a different way, if all my Olympus cameras died and there was no way to replace them, I'd probably go to Fujifilm. or Panasonic. Well, most likely I'd go to Panasonic. And if that wasn't an option, I'd go to Fujifilm. Yeah, I'd go to Panasonic because because of the lenses I have. Because at this point, really my investment is all in this glass, and the camera bodies are just whatever, right? So I'd go to Panasonic. And and if I had no lenses, no glass, if I was starting from scratch and I couldn't buy Olympus or Panasonic, I'd get Fujifilm. Rob, did you try panning mode? Do you have a video about that? I do have a video on it. It's called How to Do Panoramas. It works okay. I prefer using the Photoshop panning stitching software that's built into Photoshop or Lightroom. But you can do it in Olympus Workspace, and it works okay. But the biggest challenge with panning is adjusting for the parallax error. I didn't talk about it too much in that video. I just kind of touched on it, but generally, if you're using the kit lens, you want to rotate your pan right around where the ring is, the silver ring here. That's roughly the nodal point. And a lot of times you can just hold your thumb and rotate the camera like this while you're panning. And that'll get rid of some of the stitching errors that you might get using the Olympus Workspace panning mode. And of course, you have to shoot in panning mode in the camera, and not all cameras, like I don't think the M1s have panning mode in them. So, but that might help. If that's the kind of problems you're having is stitching errors, then it's probably you don't have your nodal point set correctly. So do some searches on videos about how to set your nodal point on your camera, and you should get better results with your panning in camera. Straight out of camera is good for me. Adjustment to get closer to what you intended, fine if needed. Manipulation, not for me. Yeah, I'm with you, Bob. That's kind of where I am. I really want to get the image I want in the camera first, and then I can play with it later in post if I want to. One question about setting IBIS with manual lenses. When you enter the focal length, do you enter the actual one? No, you enter the actual focal length of the lens. So if you adapt a 50 millimeter prime from a full frame camera, you put 50 millimeters in the IBIS. Focal length is always set to whatever the lens is, actual focal length is. The 2x crop factor is because of the sensor. It has nothing to do with the lens, if that helps you think about it that way. The sensor is cropping the lens, not the lens itself. So the IBIS system works off the lens. Thank you, Mike. Every week Mike drops me a few bucks. I appreciate that. Today's electricity donation and a question for astrophotos: how do you make sure you are focused on the stars? I've used the bath Nivav mask, but how do you get super sharp stars? Wow, there's a couple of things I've done. And one is, I look for the brightest star in the sky, usually the North Star. And then I zoom in on it 14x and then manually focus it until the star is as small as possible in the screen. Meaning it's as sharp as possible. And then I just don't touch the focus from there. The other way I've done it, and it works, it's not too bad actually, is I'll focus on the furthest point that I can see in the horizon that the camera can lock focus onto. And I'm talking, 20, 30 miles out, because usually I'm on a mountain and I can look down off one of the overlooks, and I'll focus on the furthest point I can and with autofocus, and then lock it there, and then I'll point the camera up and just double check, and that sometimes that works. That's about a 50-50 hit. Depends how far away you can focus. But that'll get you really close. But those are the two ways I do it: is I magnify 14x in the live view, and a lot of times you have to turn live view boost on 2. So it's on 2, on 2, and you have to focus very, very slowly, because the on 2 slows down your shutter speed on the sensor, your refresh rate. So you have to focus very slowly. And then so you turn the focus ring slightly, and you wait like a second, and you look at the screen, then you turn it a little more, and if you overshot it, you turn back a little bit. So it's a very it's a little bit tedious, but once you get it, you lock it so it doesn't change. But that's how I do it. Now that I have Starry Sky AF, it works really well. I was really impressed with the M1 Mark III. Michael White, yes, you have been with me a long time. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate that. It's good to have you here in the live chat. If Olympus is considering making a Pen F2 camera, they will have to consider the biggest challenger, the Fuji X100V. Hard act to follow at this same price point. Yeah, there's a lot of competition. I mean, across all the models, every camera has a very strong competitor, right? EM1 Mark II has the G9, which is still very competitive. Pen F, obviously, versus, you know, the Fujis, and the even the Panasonic GX9 is very competitive. It's all a matter of really what ergonomics do you prefer. I haven't handled an X100V now that it has, I guess it has a flippy screen. So that might be an interesting choice, or an interesting camera to have. But I have an XT30, which I never use, so I don't know why I would buy an X100V, to be honest. I think I'll wait for a Pen F2. If it never comes out, maybe I'll consider an X100V later, when I can get one used or something and save a couple $100, because they are a bit pricey for what they are, right? If you look at just the technical specs on paper, you know, pricing is not always just the spec sheet, right? Pricing is sometimes the ergonomics and handling, the build quality and design, right? Not so much what are the specs. You watch too much. Oh, I see where you're going. Yeah, I know. Can you imagine me at his age though, Roman? Wow. I'm gonna need a full-time nanny. Rob, seems you need photo walk to clear up. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. About my jacket, Siegfried. I appreciate that. I went on a photo walk, was it last night or the night before, that I took this image behind me. And most of the images I took that night were total loss. Even this one is not that great. Craig, Peter in Finland just shared exciting news from Olympus that they are working on a new 4K and 8K tech, high value added OMD cameras and lenses. Oh, okay. Good to know. Where did he share that information though? Like in a newsletter or in a video? I haven't looked at any of his videos this morning. I assume you mean, yeah, Peter Forsgaard in Finland. He, you know, and he has a great Olympus channel as well. Was that, Siegfried says great image, was that the MK3? Yeah. This is a hand, let me move out of the way. This is a handheld shot. I'm still not out of the way. Jeez. This is a handheld shot. Well, you know what? I got a button right here. Watch. Yeah, this is a handheld shot. High res mode. I post this in my forum if you want to look at the full size image. So there's a little bit of noise at ISO 6400, but it did a really good job. And then I did some split toning in Olympus Workspace. So I'm gonna talk about that probably in the next live stream here at 11:30 to talk about how to do split toning in Olympus Workspace with monochromatic images. That's um, David Crook says he signed up for a free 45-minute one-on-one Olympus educator, and it was good getting questions answered. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing something like that where I give like 30 minutes or 45 minutes free, time to time, to anyone. So look out for that in, I don't know if where I can post that, maybe in a live stream or in on my forum. If you guys haven't joined my forum yet, check it out. There's so many good posts there and great images and lots of good educational information as well, um, from people that are like from my channel. You know, MU43 forum is probably your very best resource if you're looking for a lot of information and you have questions. But I'm very proud of our little group on my forum, my little forum. So if you can join my forum, and you can check out images that I post. Because what I like about having my own forum is I can post as many images as I want of my own, and not feel like I'm, getting, I don't know. It just I feel weird sometimes posting on other forums my own stuff. It feels like self promotion, which is okay to an extent, but I don't want to like take advantage of someone else's forum just for my own stuff, right? So that's why I have my forum, and I'm getting and you guys are really posting a lot of great things too. Leon says, Rob, the panning question is to do panning on a moving, oh, not panorama. I'm sorry, Leon, I misunderstood. I can't even remember what the question was. If you could ask again about the panning, because it's too hard for me to scroll up and see what it was. The smoothest IBIS mode for video, yes. MIS 1, I believe, is you get digital plus mechanical. Let me see what it says here. Wait, it's MIS. Let me put it into movie. The smoothest is MIS 1, sensor shift plus digital. It crops in about 3 or 4 degrees, but it's worth it, especially if you're using a very wide angle lens. It's significantly better. MIS2 is best for video. Don't use the digital. If you could elaborate that on Roberto, because my experience has been different. For vlogging, I prefer MIS1. Now, there is some argument to be made that when you add digital image stabilization, you lose a tiny bit of image quality because it's cropping and adjusting digitally the image itself frame by frame. And I know there's an argument for that to be made, but for general video, I think MIS1 is fine. If you're trying to be very clinically accurate and get the best image quality, MIS2 or MIS off is better. But that being said, I think the question was, which one is the smoothest? And I can tell you MIS1 is the smoothest. But feel free to, express your opinion on that. MIS2 is better. Don't use digital. It's definitely, the only logic I can see is it does give better image quality ultimately, but I don't think it's quite as smooth. Rob, is there other settings that you need to have active for Starry AF feature? Tried it the other day without success. No, once you put it in Starry AF, it should work. There are settings there's two settings for Starry AF, accuracy and there's another one called speed. I think I had mine on speed and it worked just fine, but maybe try accuracy. But once I get out to the and start doing some more astrophotography, I'll try and do a tutorial on it and share my experience on it, maybe in a live stream as well. But I haven't had any issues. And I didn't do any other settings. I just put it in Starry AF and it worked. Walter Rose says, for those interested in Capture One, I posted a couple of messages on Rob's forum. Okay, yes, he did. And he'll answer your questions there as well, but it's probably best to just go to his channel. And if you have a question about a specific feature that he's doing a tutorial on, like he did something about smooth skin tones yesterday, if you have a question about that, it's best to ask on his video. But if you want, I'm sure he'll be happy to answer any questions in the forum as well if it's not related to something he's already done. Hi, Cecilia. How are you? Thanks for joining. Hi, Rob. Not sure if you answered this. What's your take about South Korea stop making Olympus camera pen? It's fine. I don't live in Korea, so it doesn't affect me. If I lived in Korea, I'd be a little upset, but it doesn't upset me at all because I don't live there. I mean, every company makes their business decisions. I don't think it's a precursor to Olympus, the Olympus camera division in general. It's more of a sort of an indication of the camera market in general. Things are very slow, but it just reached a breaking point, I guess, in South Korea. But yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. Like I said, if Olympus doesn't make any more cameras, I'm fine for the next 4 or 5 years. Until some new technology comes out that just, dwarfs everything we have now. But I don't see that happening for at least 4 years. Oh, Peter shared something this morning. Okay, Craig, good. I'll check it out. Rob, did you see the video by Steve Huff on Olympus? I did not. Was it something recent? And yeah, I don't watch Steve Huff too much. I've seen a few of his videos, over time. I can't remember the last time I seen one. He seemed like a nice guy, but I don't follow his channel. Mark Wolf is asking, do I use iPhone or Android? I use Android. All Olympus cameras are made in Vietnam. They are now, yes. I believe so. Anyone own an XE3? Nope. That has the previous generation Fuji sensor in it. Any thoughts on Olympus pulling out of South Korea sales? Yeah, oh, sorry, I already addressed that. No, not really. I don't live there, so it doesn't affect me at all. You know, I changed the lighting in my studio here a little bit. I bought some 75 watt equivalent LEDs, um, rather than using fluorescence. Save a little bit of energy and get a more, but I don't know if the quality of light is as good. I'm using a fluorescent over here and an LED over here. I don't know if you can tell the difference. I just watched your movie video and that's what you said to use IS2, but yes, smoother might be IS1. Okay. I have to watch my old videos. You know, people's opinions change over time, so whatever I was saying in old videos, like maybe a year or 2 years ago, I should maybe update it. Frank says, I am confused. Which link are you referring to as your forum? It looks like it's not Flickr or Facebook. robtrek.com/forum. Here, I'll type it in for you. This is for Frank. That should take you right to the forum. Is anyone recording nature sounds along with your photography? I'm thinking about getting a parabolic dish. Oh, that's interesting. No, I don't. I haven't done that. The Olympus leadership in Korea played a major role in its demise. Maybe. Like I said, I don't follow it because I don't live there. Oh my goodness, I'm all caught up here on the comments. That's awesome. All right, let me check something. All these frickin' pop-ups on my... I like the software, Advanced Windows Care, but it's always popping up messages. You know, there's a new update available. There's a new update available. It's annoying. Oops. What is this? All right. If you're using a tripod, it's not a good idea to use image stabilization. Yeah, that's true. There's you know, the general rule of thumb is don't use image stabilization on a tripod. You know, the only exception I can think of is if it's really windy, that may introduce some minor motion. So you want to, you know, generally some people like very heavy tripods. I prefer lightweight. And then I'll weigh it down if I can when I'm in the field, but Uncle Rob, create and sell your own gear. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. I'm looking into a couple of things to formalize some of the businesses I'm doing. But I have, oh, I didn't show you my latest acquisition here. I bought an Insta360 for my 360 tours, and I'm using my old grip here that has a battery built in to power it. And what's kind of neat is when I have the cord, you know, parallel with the camera, it's out of the stitching view. So actually, even with this cord here, it doesn't show up in the 360 image because it's too close to the camera relative to the angle of the lenses. But it's, man, the workflow is something else though. My God. You know, I tried to work with a 4K image 360. It's actually 5.7K image 360 and download it to my phone. It was only 3 or 4 minutes and took forever. And then editing, oh my God. Roman's asking, what's the oldest Olympus camera I have? It's the OM1. I think it's right. Yeah. I have an Olympus OM1. It might be out on my mantle. Yeah, I think it's out on my... No, I took it off the mantle. It might be right up here. My OM1s and OM2s, they're from the 1970s. No later than early 80s, I believe. The film cameras. And then as far as digital cameras, the EM10 Mark II is my oldest digital. How's the weather nowadays? Will the weather be okay for a long-waited photo walk with the Olympus? Yes. The weather was awesome yesterday, and it's a little cloudy today. But yeah, the light is very good now. Oh my God. It's so much brighter. I don't know why. I don't know why it's brighter, but it's so much brighter in the summertime. Even on a full sunny day in the wintertime, the sun is not as bright for some reason. But in the summer, it's very, very bright. And it has to do with, I guess, the way the Earth tilts, right? So the Earth is tilted back, so the light is a little less direct, where I live in the wintertime. Hence, that's why it gets colder. But then in the summer, the Earth tilts back. So we get longer days and the sun is more direct and the lighting is so much brighter. I don't know how to describe it. In theory, it shouldn't be, right? Because we're so far away from the sun. The rule of whatever, inverse square law, it shouldn't make that much difference. Because technically, I think we're even a little bit further away in the summertime because the orbit is a little bit elliptical. I mean, I don't want to get all, Neil deGrasse on you, but, how did you ever try the Olympus capture through Wi-Fi on the EM1 Mark III? Yes, I tried it a couple of times and it seems to work fine. I don't use it enough to get a feel for how to get it to work consistently because sometimes it didn't connect or it didn't behave the way I wanted. And the app is too limiting anyway for the kind of photography I do. So I try not to use it. But it does download images and you can edit them and you can do everything with it. But I'm just not a phone app user, right? I hate, I'm thinking about getting maybe a larger tablet that has a newer processor in it so I can work with images a little faster, but it'd be mainly for my 360 camera because I hate using the 360 app on the phone. I don't know what it is with people. They love using apps on their phone. What's wrong with you? It's just everything's so tiny and if you miss a button or you hit back or I don't get it. Why? It's very frustrating for me. I don't want to go there today. It's very frustrating to use apps on a phone, in my opinion. And the desktop app that they give you for the frickin' 361R sucks. It doesn't do anything. And they have plugins for Adobe Premiere, but I don't have Adobe Premiere. I use DaVinci Resolve, and there's workarounds for it. Hopefully they'll come up with some more mainstream plugins and things, but working with the app is just really annoying to me. As you can tell, wow, I need to chill. It just irritated me thinking about working with an app. Wow, things scrolled up pretty quickly here. Olympus news rumor. I trust Olympus. I changed my whole camera to Ollie. Yeah, Wiki, don't worry about it. Like I said, Olympus could go out of business tomorrow, and I'm good for the next 4 or 5 years, Nothing's going to come out in the next 4 or 5 years. I mean, who knows, right? But that's going to dwarf anything we have now. Uh, yeah, Craig, I'll definitely do some Starry Sky AF videos. I'm going to take out my EM10 Mark II and my EM5 Mark II. Well, I'm going to take them all. Let's be honest. I'm going to take all my cameras with me and test them all for astrophotography. Even my Fujifilm, maybe my Nikon, and see what happens, you know. I used to do pretty good astro with my Nikon. I haven't really given the Olympus a decent effort yet. Because like I said, being able to do astrophotography, you know, you have to have good weather, which fortunately we're getting better weather now than more often than not. It has to be a clear night. It has to fit in my schedule. The park has to be open because it's not right now. And there has to be no moon, right? Uh, and you have to go to a dark sky. I think I'll go out to Spruce Knob this time. It's about a 4-hour drive, but it's supposed to be really dark there. And there's one in Pennsylvania that I might consider too, closer to the Olympus corporate office. So I might do a duo trip, visit Olympus corporate office, do some starry night, dark sky photography, then visit a steel plant and all kinds of things. That's why I'm getting my Jeep ready. You know, I want to get the Jeep out and start camping and hiking and doing things. I say that now because I'm cooped up in my house. So Roman says you don't have an EP3 or EP1. I do not. Um, yeah, don't worry about comparisons like that between 20 megapixels and 12 megapixels. Uh, you're really only going to see a difference when you pixel peep or you're shooting at higher ISOs because the newer cameras do have better ISO performance. But shoot with what you have, you know. You can do fine. I've compared my, I think I've compared my TG5 against my EM10. Maybe not, but in good light, there's not much difference. Little difference in the lens quality. The lenses are certainly a lot better on the EM10, but the TG5 is not bad. IBIS is in movie is great, but nothing will help you when you are walking. Gimbal is needed. Yes, gimbal definitely helps, and you need really a really even with a gimbal you still get a little bouncing, so you have to still catwalk a little bit, you know. Oh, you'd love the EM1 Mark III to capture photos direct. I know it'd be kind of nice if it did it in the background, right? Uh, I know the Fuji does that. It does it sort of in the background. Like I haven't used it, but there was something in the menu about it automatically loading the photos to your from the camera to the phone automatically, either when you turn the camera off or something. I can't remember, and I think Olympus might have a feature like that. But like I said, I just hate apps, so I avoid it. That's why you've never seen me do a video on apps, you know, because I would just probably throw my phone in the trash can. Uh, why is it that lower ISOs, the dynamic range of your Micro Four Thirds can measure the dynamic range of any Sony? Uh, I don't know if that's true or not, but generally speaking, most cameras, their dynamic range is really, usable dynamic range is really only about 7 stops, plus or minus 3 or 4 stops from a base exposure. You know, depending on, you know, assuming it's a complicated, it's not complicated, it's a difficult subject to just say verbally. It'd be a lot easier if I had some props or a graph or something. But most cameras at base ISO only have about plus or minus 3 EV, maybe 4 EV of usable dynamic range. Beyond that, you start getting into very limited information in the camera, digitally speaking. So at very low, at the very low end of a, you know, we're talking about one exposure. At the very low end in the deep shadows, there's very little information. And at the high end on the highlights, there's very little information. Most of the meat is in the middle. And that's why it seems like that dynamic range is similar across cameras at base ISO. I mean, clearly the hold on a second. My mom is calling again. Hello. Hi. I can come tomorrow. Well, they said to call back on the 27th. Yeah, so we need to wait till Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, they said the 27th. So let's call back then. No, I'm pretty sure it was the 27th. Yeah. I put it on my calendar, but yeah. Okay. All right. All right. They already took it out. I looked it up a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, for June. Yeah, for the one coming in June. Yeah, they already took it out. Yeah, when we called a couple of weeks ago, I asked them. I saw it already taken out. So, yeah. All right. Yeah. Anyway, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of a thing here. Okay. All right. Bye. All right. Never fails, right? Uh, okay, let me go up and see where we're at here. Hi, Rob. Are you planning to do some film photography tutorial time to time? I might. Yeah. Yeah, I bought lots of film before the lockdown. So I have a couple of rolls of Portra and some Ilford black and white, and I have some 120 film I want to go through. Um, so I'm definitely going to do that because yeah, oh, I got this cut on my lip I have to tell you about. Look at Dolly Sods near Blackwater Falls, West Virginia for Starry Night. Oh, okay, Walter, I'll check that out. Um, you should come with me. Let's see. So Rob, will your live chats and regular videos be down for a while when you do your camping and visiting? Yes. If I go for like a week, uh, I probably could still post something because I usually stay in a hotel if I'm gonna go for more than a week or two. If I just go, you know, camping I can do for 3 nights at most. Beyond that, I can't do more than that. I just don't have the stamina. But if when I go for a week or 2 weeks type trips, then yeah, I stay at a hotel. Then I can still post. But I'll let you guys know when I go. It's very random though. I might just go. Well, now I got to do something for my mom on Wednesday. Every week I feel like I got something that keeps me from going away for a week or two. Uh, is the M1 Mark III and the M10 Mark III the same dimensions? Any good grips cages? No, the Mark IIs and the Mark IIIs Well, the EM1 Mark II and the EM1 Mark III have the same dimensions, and you can use the same grip. But the EM1 Mark III and the EM10 Mark III are totally different cameras. You'll have to look for a generic cage for either of those cameras. There's no third-party decent ones. Just look for a generic one. I was looking at some generic ones, but I haven't bought one yet. I need to probably buy at least one. So if I buy a cage, I'll let you know. Because it'd be nice to have a cage on my other rig. I have this I have this ginormous thing that I use for my tutorials. And I got all these things hanging off, and I just kind of lay them around on wherever I got someplace I can lay around. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. A rig would tidy this up quite a bit for me. But anyhow, because yeah, I hate attaching things directly to the camera if I can help it. Because it's just I drop things all the time, and it would really jack it up pretty bad if I dropped it when it had a lot of gear attached to it, versus if I dropped it with a cage, I'll probably break all the gear around it, but not the camera itself. Let's see. Quick TG56 question here. Do you know of any way to display the super control? No, there is no super control panel. It's only live control, the sidebar type on those cameras. There's no super control because the super control panel is designed for touchscreen. That's why it's not on there. And the TG5 and 6 don't have touchscreens. Even though I rarely use the camera's touchscreens when I do have super control panel, but that was the intent. That's why they didn't put them on those cameras. Walter says, can take astrophotographies via tethering. Olympus can tether with workspace. Olympus tethers with another software called Olympus Capture, I believe it's called. And you can tether wirelessly with the new EM1 Mark III, and you can tether via USB cable. And yes, I believe you can do everything when you're tethered. You have full control. I haven't really explored the limits of the tethering software, if there is any, but when I did install it and use it, you had complete control over the camera as far as I could tell. But I haven't really explored the limits of it. I just wanted to try to see if I could connect the tethering wirelessly to the camera, and I did. Which would eliminate the need potentially for having a HDMI capture card for streaming, which was one of the reasons I wanted to look into it. But not all Olympus cameras can tether. Only like the EM5 Mark II and the EM1 Mark II and the EM1 Mark III. I think everything else you can't tether. But tethering, I could see where tethering might help if you need a bigger screen, but I don't think I would use tethering for Astro. Oh crap, I got another live stream at 11:30 for doing photo edits and things. I need to get to that. So let me finish these questions here, and then we'll start the live stream photo editing session for at 11:30. I'm just seeing if there's any other questions here. Looking for something a bit more compact. Winter's Tale says, Interesting. Panasonic G9 guy. Okay, I am a Panasonic GA9 guy. G9 with 8 native and vintage lenses, but thought, what if I get the new EPM2 from a seller in Israel and branch out in a totally wild way? Yeah, it's fun. Just try an old camera. Like, I really like my old Pentax K10 digital K10D. Man, I don't know why. It just it's a really really good little camera. Not little, but it's a good camera. Um, yeah, Leon, the photo critiquing starts at 11:30, so I need to end this one. All right, Tony, thanks for coming in. Roman, thank you. Plato, everyone, hopefully you've submitted some images. I saw about six images before I started the stream, but I'm going to take a 5-minute break here and download the images and start the next stream. But thanks everybody again for joining me today, and we'll see you again on Thursday.